went the whole beer route.
I did. It was either that or, you know, like ancient medicines, and I'm just not that, you know, fluent at that, so beer was the easier route for me to go. I went to hop school over at Goose Island, and
Oh, wow.
these are all American. They're more of the citrusy ones, and then these are more herbal ones, and then these ones actually are just for bittering. I stuck with the citrus ones,
Okay.
and it's kind of, you know, really weird, especially after a few beers, how my head started to kind of think about it. Was the other thing I wanted to incorporate was malt. This is regular malt, and then this one is actually a caramel malt where they toast it. And then they have one that they dark roast, which has a lot of like coffee flavor to it. I made a risotto actually out of the caramel malt, and that's just vegetable stock and the malt. We're going to turn them into a risotto, but kind of a little bit backwards in terms of we didn't start with onions and frying the individual kernels because they didn't do real well that way. We're going to use the Celian hops, and we found they're almost very similar to tea. About 4 minutes is a great before they start to really get super bitter. A few of these here, just a few. These are the pellet, which that was the challenge, and it's really hard to find just loose and hops or fresh, especially right now, this time of the year. So what they do is they take the pellet or the hops and kind of compress them. It's almost like you could build a car out of them, you know, like a Cheech and Chong movie almost. And then this is our sous vide. We just took onions, really slowly cooked them in butter, and so that'll introduce kind of that onion note and adds a little bit of creaminess in. So I'm gonna strain this back on just to get some of that flavor. You can really smell the hops coming out. Again, using the dry hopping, this is a pudding that we make, and it's kind of based actually loosely on a mole, but without the chilies. It's raisins, onions, garlic, caraway, pumpernickel, and cocoa, and then I dry hopped it in, strained it out, and blended it so it was really super smooth like pudding. And we use mandarin quats, which are in season right now from California. So we made marmalade. Again, we dry hopped it. And after tasting, especially like the caramel hops, it just kind of was like in my head to use this chocolate sauce. And I was like, chocolate, caramel, citrus really seem to go really well together. And the other thing too, you know, I had beer on the brain. I was like, beer and citrus is not too far off in terms of, you know, a pairing. So thinking along the lines of beer, I was like, beer, bar food, and instead of chicken wings, we're actually going to do some like chicken fried sweetbreads. 3-step bread them, and the last step will be a pretzel crust actually.
But do you have a name for your dish, or what would you call it?
I would call it a pretty damn good Sunday afternoon. And we're gonna let them go about a minute. These we're gonna finish with hop flavor dust. It's actually some powdered sugar, salts, and ground up hops. This is the Amarillo. These are definitely a little bit more of the grapefruit, almost a milder citrus kind of a flavor. Red grapefruit is what I smelled. You can see the hops now, the green of the hops coming out.
Yeah.
So, all right, so we'll finish this dish here. And this is pretty intense stuff, so I'm just gonna keep it kind of small. Then our risotto, our caramel malt risotto. 3 of these bad guys. And then our citrus fruit to finish. Make sure we get a little bit of that action. I love zest, so I'm totally okay with eating a whole piece. I mean, not to toot my own horn, but it's pretty delicious. I mean, if you like bitter things, it's definitely got a little bitter element to it, but with the sweetness and kind of just more of the dry hopping, I think it came out really good.
Does it taste like beer?
No, it doesn't taste like beer in the least bit. So, but I'm willing to bet it would pair really well with probably the 312 from Goose Island, just because that has a little bit more sweetness. So, it's that like umami bomb. And when you eat really good Indian food, I think that's kind of like the secret. I mean, the guy cooks really gorgeous food. I was like, let's give him something really funky to work with.